Well, the Chargers get a win here. Go to 8-4. Beat the Falcons in Atlanta 17-3. And all thanks to, which feels like the Chargers defense, not much help from the Chargers offense today, getting 4 interceptions, 1 from Derwin James to seal the victory at the very end. They didn't get any pass rush going all day today, but they got one when it mattered most on that last drive. And boys, it was a defensive masterclass. Well, at least after they got ran over early on in that game, coming back and getting stops where they needed, getting turnovers because the offense was doing nothing.
I mean, is it even really fair to say they got run over early in the game? They gave up a touchdown on a short field.
Oh my gosh, they were giving up like 6 yards a clip.
Yeah, they were getting chunked. Yeah. They were getting chunked up on their first drive.
Yeah, it was bad in the first drive, but they settled down. You got to give Tarheeb Still a ton of credit. He was so good today, and it looked like they found some things on tape that tipped what the Falcons were going to do in their passing game, because he sat on both those out routes and made great plays on the ball on both of those throws. So Still just continues to make plays, and Derwin, like I said before we went on the air, best game in maybe 3 years. He was phenomenal. Just kept showing up in key moments, third down stops, big tackles, the interception at the end. They needed the defense to come through on a day when the offense could not move the ball at all, and they did it. Credit to them.
And special holiday thanks to Kirk Cousins, as 'tis the season. He was all about giving it away. And it definitely came in handy today because, as Jamie just mentioned, the offense had absolutely nothing going. It was pretty much an all-around bad day there, but defensively, got to give props where it's due. A couple of guys stuck out really, really big. I also mentioned this before we got going. We're talking about safety play, man. Tony Jefferson looked like a man possessed early on in that game. When we're talking about just filling and run fits, coming downhill and knocking guys' heads off, and open field tackling and shutting blocks. It was a game that they had to have, and they found a way to get it done. And I know people always say this, good teams find a way. I think the Chargers are a good team. They may not be great just yet, but they found a way to pull this off against a couple of odds stacked against them, but they made it happen.
Yeah, this is the kind of win they haven't been having in the last few years. Really, probably it seems like the last decade. Games that they probably shouldn't win, that they find a way to pull out in the end. They always find a way to lose these games. So you go on the road on a short week after getting basically curb stomped by the Ravens, going into a game where the Falcons are going to run the ball like crazy. In fact, and I would say they probably didn't run the ball enough. But the lack of time to physically recover after the beating they take from the Ravens, then going into a game where the Falcons are going to run the ball, for them to step up and play the way they did really after the first 2 possessions was really good.
Yeah, that just going back to Derwin James, the interception was obviously a gift, but the cut inside the block on that jet sweep on that 3rd and 1 was such a great read and impressive kind of bang tackle, because he's running right by him to get a handout and make that tackle. Was crazy. He got another one in the 4th quarter on a 3rd and short. We saw Elijah Molden get one on a 3rd down stop, like the one right before the 2-minute warning. And then of course Derwin gets the INT. But I mean, everybody, it feels like he has kind of rested on his impressive play early on in the year, and all the commentators talk about what an impressive player Derwin James has been. But I mean, from people who watch him every week, it's like, well, I mean, he's been okay the last couple of years, but today he was that exceptional athlete that everybody praises him for each and every week. He came up big time today. Tarheeb Still was awesome. I know he had that one where he got a fingertip on that Ray McLeod reception, but they ended up, I think, getting the interception later in that same drive. But outside of that, I mean, being able to undercut that route for an interception where it looked like Mac just kind of got in Kirk Cousins' area and he kind of short-armed it a little bit, but still got the pick 6. Cousins telegraphed it and floated it, but good on Still to make it count. And that play at the end of the game where he knocked the ball loose on that 3rd down, almost reception by Drake London, that would have been a conversion, changed the game. I mean, that would have been a totally different, end of game sequence if still doesn't go in and play the hands of Drake London and knock that ball away, because pick six was impressive. I know that other interception was really good too, but that play at the very, very end on that third down was so critical and just still was amazing today. And I can't wait to see him on the field and phase Jasir Taylor out when Zont and Hart are back on the field.
So as a card carrying member of Team Taylor, I'm sorry, yeah.
Who's that?
Sorry, not Taylor.
Oh,
I
Jesus.
said that wrong. Not Taylor. Absolutely wrong. So
can we get a clip of that?
Freudian slip. Y'all clip it. It's fine. Do it. Do what you gotta do.
Do it.
Team
Jasir Taylor, Craig's guy.
Team Tarheeb Still. From the beginning of the season, when I said that he would overtake Jasir Taylor in the slot, it hasn't happened the way that I imagined it, because he's had to kick outside due to the injuries with Cam Hart and whatnot. But the dude's just been making plays all over the field, and you see he's starting to really grow into whatever role they ask him to play in. Now he basically had to. Well, guys actually had to come in and make up for some of Jasir's Jasiring today. It's unfortunate, but good on Tarheeb for being a player that we've seen him start to develop to be. You see him coming in, rounding into form as a true threat in the defensive secondary. And I have a piece that you can utilize on the inside. And keep in mind, guys, he's playing on the outside, which is not his natural position. It's where he was most weak in college, where he played at Maryland. He was more of a slot guy, and that's where he should be. But the fact that you can ask him to play outside and him not be a liability says a lot about the coaching and his ability to step in and be a player wherever they ask him to be. And that's the nature of this team. It's a total team effort. So defensively, good on Tarheeb for stepping up and doing his thing. And just like you guys, like, I don't know when Zont's coming back, if he's coming back, because they're being really hush about this shoulder situation. But I would imagine that Cam will be back in the next few weeks. And the sooner we can get less Jasir Taylor, the happier we will all be. I'm sure of it.
Absolutely. I can't stand watching him on the field. I would say there are three guys right now who really do not need to be on the field anymore at all. And that's Pipkins,
I think we could all say it at the same time.
Pipkins,
Haskins, and Taylor.
Yep. They all need to be off the field. Pipkins is a liability. I don't know what they think they see out there. He's not effective in the running game. He's lost against simple stunts. Can't pass protect. Seems like anytime Herbert's getting hit, Pipkins is just standing there with his thumb up his ass, watching it happen. He's not getting hands on people. He's just terrible. And Haskins, that I know we harp on it every week and people are tired of hearing about it, but to hell with it. I'm going to say it again. That short yardage package with Haskins has to go. Burn it, burn the ashes, flush it, do whatever you got to do. Get it the fuck out of here. I don't want that thing to see the light of day ever again. It's awful. There's no reason why he should be touching the ball ever. If you want him into pass protect, that's one thing, but stop giving him the ball on crucial downs. Please just stop.
Well, here's the thing about that play. If you're going to do it, because you've done it numerous times, teams have seen it on tape, switch it up a little bit, fake the inside handoff and flip it to the outside. Teams will probably be crashing down on the interior and you'll be able to get a free few yards on the perimeter. So I'm not an offensive coordinator, but hey, Greg, just something to think about moving forward if you're going to keep the guy on the field. But I would much rather you not. So right there, along with Jamie and Garrett as well.
Yeah, man. We haven't liked it for weeks and weeks, and now he fumbles on it. I mean, it was terrible. They were using him too often to start that game. Luckily, they got away from it. But yeah, Trey Pipkins was particularly terrible today. I mean, the offensive line wasn't good at all. Herbert held the ball too long today as well, and ran into, I felt like, half those sacks. They gave up 5 today, but Trey Pipkins was just bad. And really, on that first sack where Vidal had to come out and help pass protect Pipkins, I mean, that was Pipkins' guy. He kind of edged and went to the right side and then didn't get back in time. But I mean, I can't watch Trey Pipkins on the field anymore. I mean, how many more times does he have to get Justin Herbert killed to know, hey, man, you've already got a right guard sitting on your bench that you've already had play throughout the season and has proven to be better than Pipkins. I don't know what the end goal is here with Pipkins, but they got to move away from this pretty soon.
Not to mention the fact that, they've already admitted that they think Salyer is a better run blocker because he's in on 3rd and short when they're going to run the ball.
Yeah.
And you want to have the identity of being able to run the football. So what are we doing here? Why do we continue to run Pipkins out there? Is it just because he's a veteran and he's making money? He has that big contract. I mean, there's no way you can make the argument he's one of the 5 best linemen on the field right now. You just can't.
No, these are all really easy fixes. Just don't give Haskins the ball anymore. If you want to give him pass protect, like Jamie said, go for it. Jasir Taylor, until the other corners come back, get him off the field and let him play special teams, and then just get Pipkins off the field. Let Salyer roll for the rest of the year and see how it goes going into the playoffs.
It can't be any worse.
No,
and at least give us an opportunity to see it with our own eyes, because from what we've seen thus far, there's nothing to prove that it could be worse at this point.
Yeah, but the offensive line was not very good today as a whole. But I know, Jamie, you were kind of mentioning it not only in Discord, but I think you mentioned on Twitter too, just about not giving 10 a pass today because Herbert wasn't particularly good.
Yeah, Herbert wasn't very good today. I think he didn't get a lot of help. The receivers outside of Ladd didn't really get open. They had no running game. They couldn't block at all. But he held onto the ball way too much. Made a lot of bad decisions, was running into sacks like you mentioned, Garrett. I don't know. He never really seemed comfortable, which, I mean, what did they sacked him 5 or 6 times.
5.
So I guess you can understand him not being comfortable, but you got to get the ball out, run with it, do something. He just seemed, I don't know, really out of place and uncomfortable today.
He had a really hard time navigating traffic. So like you saw him in weeks past here, he would just tuck the ball and take off and run with it. But today it was like, first of all, he would hold on too long. So he would limit the amount of lanes that he had to choose from. And when he pulled the ball down, just like you guys mentioned, he was literally running into the arms of defenders. So overall, not comfortable. But I mean, can you somewhat blame him because of what he was working with today? I mean, the run game, I feel like they didn't lean on Gus enough. They probably could have given him the ball a tad bit more. But outside of that, just as far as the receiver play is concerned, it can't just be Ladd McConkey and nothing else. Dude, 6 foot, 180 nothing. And you see him playing banged up, so more power to him because he's their number one offensive threat in the receiving game. But if something were to happen to him, he's not available, then they are screwed. And I don't know what DJ Chark is doing. Maybe dude makes awesome brownies or something. I can't think of another reason why they're keeping him around. Maybe he's team dad, some crap like that. Who the hell knows? But they have to figure something out in the passing game because right now what they have just isn't going to be sustainable. If you're talking about a late season run, it's gonna stand out even more. Herbert's going to have more tough games. To be completely honest with you guys, I'm surprised he hasn't thrown more picks than he has so far this year, because some of these passes, if they aren't going to Ladd, they're being thrown into some really, really tight windows, but he's finding a way to make it happen. It's just going to be one of those seasons where he's not going to have really standout numbers in the passing game. He's just going to have to work to be as efficient as he can be, but he has to be better as far as his decision making with holding on to the ball and looking to escape when those first 2 reads aren't available to him, because he doesn't have time to get to a third.
Yeah, I mean, big credit to Ladd for his at least first half performance before he went down. But 9 catches, 117 yards. I mean, he was the go-to target, and nobody else was getting open on that field. And I think that really helped stall that offense in the second half because Ladd didn't get back in. I don't know how bad the knee injury is, but I mean, if they don't have Ladd McConkey, they don't have anything.
They're screwed.
They are in deep shit because they've got 2 tough games coming up here, and they can't get anything going against this Atlanta defense offensively. They're in trouble when they go against the Chiefs and Bucks.
They couldn't pass protect against the worst pass rushing team in the NFL.
Yes.
They couldn't block anybody. That's a problem. We've also seen over the last couple of weeks, Disley is disappearing. Teams are starting to take him away. He's not getting those screens. He's not getting open in the middle of the field anymore. They need somebody else to step up. I thought they were starting to figure things out. We saw a screen to QJ early in the game that went for a first down. You're thinking, okay, they're going to start using that screen game as an extension of the running game. And then they didn't do it again.
Yeah.
They only ran the ball 16 times today in a 1-score game for a team that wants to pride itself on being physical and running the football. They ran the ball 16 times. And I think Darius Davis had 2 of those touches.
He had 1. Haskin had.
Did he have 1? Okay. Yeah. Well, either way.
If you don't count the Herbert scrambles, which was 5 for 1 yard, they only ran it 12 times.
Yeah, there's no reason to get away from the running game against that defense in a 1-score game. Like, you've got to be able to do something, even if it's 4 yards a clip.
Yeah.
At least that's 4 yards and you're keeping them honest. You can't just, with the way you're pass protecting or the way you're not pass protecting, you can't just let those linemen tee off on your offensive linemen and know you're not going to run the ball. You've got to keep them honest. And And, a couple weeks ago, it seemed like they were evolving offensively and they were moving towards a more clear identity. And now it just seems like we're back to Herbert save us.
Let Herbert figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And thinking about Ladd again, the first half numbers are ridiculous. So he had 8 receptions in the first half and every other receiver combined for 3. So, I mean, at the end of the day, we keep saying that he's essentially their entire passing offense. But yeah, if you have a line that's struggling specifically on your interior, you can't ask them or ask Herbert to continuously drop back, have them playing on their heels, because offensive linemen, we all know, like going forward and punishing defensive linemen. And that is supposed to be that's supposed to be their identity, but they're not leaning into it nearly as much as they probably should have in a game like this. And overall, you're just asking to get Herbert hurt at some point. So if the goal is to have your best player be available to make throws when he has to make them, then you have to do your best to protect him. I mean, you saw what Atlanta was doing. They were rolling out like max protection for Kirk Cousins for a large portion of the game. Like I saw several reps where like Thule or Joey or Khalil Mack were just getting doubled on the outside consistently. So I know that they weren't really getting a lot of pressure on them. They weren't sending a ton of blitzes, but Atlanta was just like, hey, we're just going to keep an extra guy in and make sure that we can keep Kirk clean. But Kirk's going to Kirk. And again, we are thankful for that.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't do really anything to help Herbert. It was 5 and 7 step drops out of the shotgun, stand in the pocket, try to deliver the ball. I don't recall seeing them move the pocket even once. There wasn't a single bootleg. There was no effort to get him outside on the edges of defense to help him out. They ran a couple screens. The one to QJ that was successful. They tried one to Ladd early in the game that was not successful, and they just abandoned that.
Block.
QJ couldn't. I mean, he didn't even try. He sidestepped that shit. He wanted no part of that block. That was embarrassing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jamie, they did one time. It was on the second play of the game. They moved the pocket once. They rolled Herbert out and they threw a pass to Ladd, but he didn't get very much off of it. But it was literally the second play of the game. And it's like the only time they did it.
And they have so much success getting him outside of the pocket and getting him on the move. He's so good at throwing the ball off platform. And they're struggling to block on the interior. I don't know why they don't do more of that. It's just so frustrating. And then to only run the ball 15 times it's borderline criminal. Like that's a 1-score game. The Falcons are shooting themselves in the foot left and right. The defense is balling out. You just need to get some first downs and move the football, get one more touchdown, and that's a much easier game. To basically abandon the run in the second half it's unacceptable. They've got to stick to their identity. They can't let the Atlanta Falcons bully them out of running the ball.
They did it. They did a nice job of getting a Gus Edwards running towards the end of the fourth quarter, but yeah, for the most part, not even like running to effect. We had talked about how good not only Herbert is on the move, but when he's also has a threat as a runner, and they didn't get him with his hands on the ball to get going. If you can't get the running game, we know Herbert can get the running game going with his feet, and they didn't really do much of that at all today either. The screens weren't working. They decided just not to run the ball. And I don't know if the time of possession kind of spooked them a little bit because they just wanted to keep converting and getting first downs. But I mean, they had to keep the offense on the field because it felt like the defense was on the field almost like the entire second half. They were like, that defense was tired out towards the end. Luckily they got the win, but
it's like the third or fourth week in a row where it seems like the defense has been on the field the entire second half.
Yeah.
You have to keep making those deposits in the run game, specifically with one of those bigger backs like Gus, because when you have a weaker passing game, it's what allows you to make those windows a little bit easier to get balls into or actually have them be available to you, because defenses have to respect the run. Now, the thing about Gus Edwards is, being the type of back that he is, you need an offensive line that can create a little bit of a surge off of the snap so that he can get going downhill. You can see like he's not going to be able to make things happen the same way JK did. If you don't block it perfectly, someone shoots through a gap or something like that, he's not really going to make anyone miss. But you still have to be true to what your initial game plan is and what your identity is, and force teams to have to deal with that throughout the game so that you can make life easier on Herbert and the receivers. They didn't do them, as far as Greg Roman is play calling, he did no one any favors today. We have to give pats on the back and kudos to the defense, because if it were not for them today, then this game goes way worse than it did. The Chargers definitely lose, and you could be potentially looking at a situation where some other guys could have gotten hurt, to be completely honest with you, because there were some questionable plays really on the offensive side of the ball that once I go back and look at it again, I mean, off the top of my head, I remember some really wild plays that I feel like maybe could have gotten Herbert hurt, but they'll probably be worse as we look. But you can't be having Herbert. I mean, how many dropbacks, how many pass attempts were there today? Jamie, did you mention that?
It's got to be over 40.
23 pass attempts today.
Okay, it
Really?
felt like more. It felt like way more. So yeah, they weren't able to sustain drive. So I guess that's why it wasn't as many as what they probably would have had. So yeah, overall, I just saw a couple of play calls where I feel like Herbert could have really been bent up. There were free runners towards him. Guys weren't picking up blocks. Running backs were kind of getting run through or missed. So Roman's just got to be better about his game planning moving forward. But first and foremost, you have to continue to establish that run. You cannot abandon it. Your offense isn't built for it.
You know, we talked about this after the Ravens game, and I think it still bears repeating. This is a team that's been winning in spite of some really atrocious third down numbers. They're struggling to get off the field on third down on defense, and they struggle to stay on the field on third down on offense. And those are usually really good indicators of a good team. Specifically, you know, you're talking about on offense, time of possession and third down conversion rate. This team was 3 of 11 on third down today, and I think all 3 third down conversions came on one drive before halftime. They just cannot stay on the field on third down at all. It seems like they're constantly in 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 12. They ran 40 offensive plays today. 45, including the sacks. 45 offensive plays today in a 60-minute game. By comparison, the Falcons ran 77 plays.
Yeah.
And they won. That's not sustainable. Like,
right.
They're 8-4. They're probably going to make the playoffs, but I think what we're starting to see is the lack of depth and the lack of top end talent on both sides of the ball is starting to catch up to them, and they're still finding ways to win, but none of that is sustainable. So unless they find a way to convert more third downs, get off the field on third down, and keep that offense on the field and build some momentum offensively, it's going to be like this every week. And it's going to make it really hard in the playoffs when they start playing good teams. They might be one and done because they can't stay on the field.
We saw it last week against Baltimore. Without that kind of magic, they just got stomped in the ground last week.
Yep.
Yeah. What? So we kind of mentioned him a little bit. So QJ got going early in that game, got the screen, and then we saw. I think he had 4 targets today. There were back-to-back plays where it was third down. He was the target, one of which was kind of bobbled but poked away, incomplete. Again, kind of seemed a little dejected when he got to the sideline again. Then late, I think it was the drive right after it, another third down. Both routes happened to be short of the sticks, which frustrate the shit out of me. Did it again, caught the ball, still got out, but it just feels like today was the day that QJ could kind of put that Baltimore game behind him and move forward. But I just felt like he was still feeling a little bit of that today. I mean, I think they tried to get him involved early on, but after that, it just, nothing happened.
Yeah, they tried to get him. They got at the screen early, which worked well. And then later, I think it was in the second quarter, they tried a contested catch in the red zone. Which
in the end zone, with one hand. That's right.
I mean, that wasn't really on him. There was no chance of getting that pass. And then you have the one that the corner knocks out of his hands, and then you have the 7-yard out route on 3rd and 9 that he catches and gets run out of bounds. He's just
no fight to get upfield, by the way. Just
no
kind
fight.
Of
let him carry him out of bounds.
Yep.
And no fight to block for Ladd on that screen on the first possession of the game. The physicality is a concern in today's NFL. You have to be more physical and a little tougher at wide receiver if you're going to succeed. And it just seems like he's just kind of going with the flow. There's no fight, not fighting back for the ball, not fighting for the first down, not looking for that extra yardage, which was supposed to be one of his strengths. It's kind of hard to watch.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll get an earful from Sanjay Lal and film this week because, especially as a wide receiver, if you want to get chances to catch the ball, first and foremost, you have to be willing to block, especially in this offense. So on that screen pass, it's no bueno. That doesn't fly. But in addition to that, yeah, the pass in the end zone, the go ball, the contested ball, not a great pass by Herbert. But my question is still, why are we throwing him those? He's not a contested ball guy. I mean, I get it. He's your tallest wide receiver, technically your most athletic, but he's not a high point attack it and go get it type player. I mean, you can get him on a couple back shoulder plays where corners are out of position and don't know the ball's coming, and maybe he can get late hands and catch a pass that way, but that's not the position that you want to have to put him in. Ideally, I thought if you would have asked me and if I was a betting man, I thought they were going to try to force feed him the ball early in the game just to get him going and to basically try to give him some confidence to overcome what happened last week. So I fully expected like the first passing play to be like a screen or something to him and them to try to pepper him on a couple of slants, some out routes. It just didn't materialize in that way. But I mean, again, he's not instilling much confidence in them when they were giving him his opportunities. There's just no real fight to the ball. And like you guys said, corners don't fear him at all. I mean, they feel like they can get physical with him and bully him around a little bit. They probably don't even really fear pass interference calls or anything like that, just because he doesn't give really any pushback. Like there's no fight whatsoever when we're talking about attacking the ball. And yeah, maybe let's not try to throw those crosses. I know it was more of a man beater route, but let's not throw crosses like 5 yards short of the sticks and just expect him to outmuscle corners to get the first down, because that's not what he does either.
Or he can get a little bit more depth and run it.
It just depends on the route, the way it was called. Like some of that, it's timing based. And on those crosses, yeah, it would be great if he got more depth, but it might have just been a timing thing that would have thrown off the play altogether. And Herbert may not have even had him as an option just based on him not running a route at the proper depth. But yeah, you have to adjust to get the ball at the sticks, whatever. There are slight adjustments that can be made. So all that stuff's supposed to be built into an offense.
But yeah, and we're talking about years into his career, not just this isn't. We're not talking about Ladd in his rookie year. We're talking about QJ, who, by the way, is 6'4", 210, and somehow the rookie, who's 6 foot 185, is more physical than QJ. It's an issue.
Yeah, it's a big issue. What do you guys think about that fourth down try?
Oh, the fake punt.
Fake punt.
Yeah, that felt too cute. They didn't need to do that.
I don't understand the thought process there. Like, I guess you're thinking there's no way they would see it coming because it's not something they put on tape. They haven't shown themselves to be, a gimmicky fake, one of those types of plays so far this year. So yeah, maybe thinking you can catch them off guard, but the problem was you were in negative territory. So if it didn't work, you were pretty much screwed. And I guess you were just thinking that with the way your defense had been playing, they would basically be able to hold the fort if it didn't work out, but you're just adding additional stress to your defense that's already having to hold it down for you all game long when your offense isn't producing. So I would not have wanted to even consider putting my defense in a position like that.
Yeah, luckily they were able to get out of it, but yeah, that felt too cute at the moment. It like initially it kind of felt like, we got to steal some minutes here. We haven't been on the field enough. We got to give our defense some rest, and if we can convert this, we get a new fresh set of downs type of situation. But I mean, if you don't make it, then you see what happens. Now they got a short field. They're driving now. It was risky to say the least. It definitely threw me off guard. I wasn't even expecting them to do anything like that. But it just felt too cute in the moment.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it either. And I think what threw me off was you got your punter rolling out, throwing the ball to your fourth tight end who has maybe 5 targets on the entire season. It took so long to develop, and again, you're having your punter throw the ball. So
hell of a throw by JK though. That was actually a pretty good toss, but all the same, nah.
To me, like if you're going to go for it, just go for it and put the ball in Herbert's hands and see if he can make something happen. Like the odds of JK converting on that, just the whole operation of that just seemed off to me. Didn't care for the design, didn't care for any of it really.
Yeah. Now, since we are talking about some stuff that happened during the game, what is your guys' feelings about the helmet to helmet call non-call that happened to Ladd?
That's bullshit. Why are you gonna have that rule if you're not going to call that there. He led with his helmet. He made contact with the crown of his helmet, and he hit him in the head with his forearm. Oh, he's trying to get his shoulder around. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. GTFOH.
Fuck out of here.
Why are we trying to justify that? And what's the point of Gene's territory if he's just going to agree with every call the officials make? Oh, guys, the game is so fast. It's so hard to call. There's such tight plays. You really have to pay attention to where the force was applied. Yeah, the force was applied in the fucking head, you idiot. It's a penalty.
I mean, he launched. There's no question. He also launched to the head. So, I mean, everything about that was wrong. So you had to justify. You basically had to talk around all of the things that made that call justified. But for them to overturn it, to me, is just complete nonsense.
He hit him in the head twice.
Yeah, Steratore is just kind of, I don't know. You just, I guess you don't want to go against your guys, whatever. I just do your job, ultimately. I know you don't want to make the league look bad. You don't want to make the officials look bad. But still, you saw it. Just call it the way you saw it.
What really drives me nuts about that whole thing is it happened again last week. Like they make the call, which is the correct call. Then they all get together, put all their dumb heads together, and then reverse the call, which was correct in the first place, and then get it wrong after a lengthy conversation. Not only are you wasting our time, you're also getting it wrong. It was the correct call on the field. It happened last week. It was the same thing. And then,
I'm confused. How do they determine when they're going to use replay assist? That's what I still don't have explanation for that.
Whenever they feel like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
sense.
kind of it's on a whim. There's no science to it right now. It sucks. And then also the offside call on Joey Bosa. We see that they've got McGarry too deep in the backfield, so he's lined up with the tackle. But they're not going to call McGarry being deep in the backfield, which they've been calling that. That's been an emphasis this year about tackles being too deep and having too much depth in the backfield. And then Joey Bosa gets called for the offsides. It was, I don't know, man. It was weird today.
So
I mean, granted, there were a lot of calls that were called, like the holding on Fulton, the holding on Desir, like that stuff, those were holding. Like those were the right calls. But those two calls that went against the Chargers today were just odd again.
Like the play on the hit on Ladd, like we're watching it on television. We can see it unfolding in front of us.
So did the referee who threw the flag. Go ahead.
We can see him drop his helmet and lead with the crown of his head and swing his elbow. And you're trying to tell us he tried to get his shoulder around? Come on, man. Just don't insult our intelligence. Like we're not blind. We're not stupid. Yeah. Apparently you are, but we're not.
All right, guys. If you guys got questions, we'll start rolling into those. Let's go to a couple we got early on. Chargers defense came up clutch, bolt up, one step closer to clinching a playoff ticket. Where are they at now? Do we know? Like how much percent? No, I mean like the percentage of making the playoffs.
Oh, they've got to be in the 80s at least. They need 2 more wins.
Aren't they back in the 5 slot if the Ravens lose to the Eagles today or something like that, I believe?
I don't know. Let's look
I'm
that
not
up.
mistaken.
Yeah, we'll look that up. Stephen P. Craig probably has a Jasir Taylor jersey in his closet. That's his boy, Jasir Taylor. Go over off camera, go in your closet and go grab that 36 for us.
Hey, Steven, I like you, man. Don't mess it up. Don't ruin it.
And then Richie, friend of the podcast. Can we talk about the dog shit Haskins run call? We kind of did a little bit earlier. It was exactly that.
Yes.
I mean, we've hated it for it feels like a month and a half.
Weeks.
God.
Yeah, it's aptly titled there. You got it.
Yeah,
we've been complaining about it incessantly since the Tennessee game.
Yeah, and he scored on that, but we were like, hey, you got to give it to somebody else. Like, great revenge game, great.
It was the fact
but
that they pulled Gus out to give him the ball in that situation, I believe, because I think Gus was running pretty well at that point, and they pulled him to put Haskins in to give him like, yeah, I get it. It was the Titans, but we could not do that, and everyone would have been just fine with it, I promise.
Yeah, we hate it. And man, the YouTube comments on our last couple streams about like giving this so much time because he's RB4 and a special teamers, and we keep harping on it. And here we go.
And it could have cost them the game today.
Yep.
Well, yeah, there's that as well. So,
all right, on to the questions. From James Harvey, should the Chargers be playing bump coverage when the blitz on 3rd and 4th and short goes all the way back to the Cincy TD allowed?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Simple answer, yes.
Yeah, I know.
So the one in Cincinnati was the worst because not only were they blitzing, but they gave Hart had like a 7-yard cushion on the goal line, which I don't understand. And then today they looked like they were supposed to be playing bump and run, and Fulton just, I don't know, stood up and gave him a free release. I don't know what he was thinking, but yeah, if you're going to blitz, if you're going to bring 6 or 7 guys on 3rd and 4th down, you damn well better get the hands on the receiver. You can't give him a cushion, and you certainly can't give him a free release.
Well, you have to throw off timing. It's one of the reasons why you run bump is to affect the wide receivers, throw off the timing so the quarterback has to hold the ball a tick longer so that the pressure can get there. The thing that was really stupid about in the Cincy game was Cam's a bump cover corner. So the fact that he wasn't doing that play blew my mind. But outside of that, yeah, typically if you're going to send a house, you call like a 0 blitz, then yeah, your guys should be up on the line, making it difficult for wide receivers to get off. Again, it's all about throwing off timing and giving your rush an opportunity to get home. Worst case scenario, the quarterback, panics, throws the ball early. You have a chance to either jump the route or you're in closer proximity to break it up, but you can't give them a free release. It's not how that's supposed to work.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, how did you guys feel about the last play of the game? I know they kind of went a little shell, but before the timeout, they had 7 men on the line of scrimmage. It felt like they were about to send the house at Kirk Cousins on that 4th down play. Like it? Are you okay with what they ended up dropping out of?
I'm cool with them showing blitz and then dropping some guys. Like it worked earlier in the game in a different situation where if Poona Ford doesn't get his hands on the ball, like Kirk throws that directly into Deion Henley's hands for an easy interception. So with a guy like Kirk Cousins, he's going to, he can't move. He's not mobile. So his thing is going to be as soon as he sees the color flash, he's going to throw towards it. So I'm all about like making it at least look like you're simulating pressure and then dropping one guy back or so like that and getting into a passing lane to probably create a turnover. So I'm fine with that. But are you talking about, you said, was it the 4th down play you said?
Yeah,
or
the very last play of the game.
Very last play of the game?
Yeah.
I mean, you weren't really getting home with just 4 down linemen. So, I mean, again, if you want to show it, even if you're not absolutely going to run it, just give him something to think about so that he has to hold the ball a tick or so longer so that whoever is getting after him has an opportunity to possibly get home. So I didn't hate it.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with blitzing Cousins there. I think you want to speed him up and hopefully you get some kind of a zone blitz going where somebody drops back and gets a hand on the football. So no issues with that at all. You can't just let him stand back in the pocket. They were struggling getting pressure on him. You need to get the ball out of his hand. And hopefully you force a mistake, which they did.
Yeah. I liked the look of having 7 up front and then dropping back just to give Cousins that look. But, they ended up calling timeout and then they just rushed 4 and it worked out. Derwin was able to jump the route. But I was like, oh man, sending the house, either making it look like you're sending the house on Cousins, giving a little bit of scare before, because it's 4th and, I think it was 10 plus at that point. But anyway.
The other side of that is also that Cousins has a noodle for an arm also. So you're probably not really like scared of him driving a ball downfield against you. You think you have an opportunity to jump something. So they're probably taking all of that into account. Yeah.
And Spiked WK is right. They were at 94% before this game today of making the playoffs. So, all right. Troy Myers, is there any wide receiver we can ask to come out of retirement to help this team?
Can we trade Jerry for his son then activate?
Just bring his dad in?
Just have Jerry come in. I mean, his game was never about speed anyway. So,
what do you think about this? This is a good question. Not even close 10. Would you consider resting Ladd next week if he's pretty banged up? You're going into Arrowhead against the Chiefs. We've already clinched, by the way.
I don't know. I don't think you can afford to give that game away.
Yeah.
That just doesn't seem like a smart move to me. That's a good way to get Herbert killed.
I'm just gonna say, what are your other options if you sit Ladd?
DJ Chark, Brendan Rice,
who?
Fehoko. I mean, these are names. I'm just giving you an answer.
The first name, the first name, I didn't recognize it.
DJ Chark.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Oh, okay. Anyway.
Oh.
Who is the wide receiver 2 on this team? Rager was in on 22 personnel plays. He was in a lot today. Joshua Palmer in and out. QJ in his own head. I don't know what the hell was going on with him today. And then when Ladd out, there was a lot of Rager. Did Chark get any snaps today?
I don't think so.
I didn't see him on the field.
I saw him on the bench. His jersey was hella clean. I don't
Stone Smart got more snaps than him today. I'm pretty sure.
1 would be more than 0. Yes.
Yeah. Hold on a second. Hold on. I need to get my calculator out. What was that? 0.
Carry the 1.
I don't know, man. I don't know. This whole wide receiver group is confusing at the moment, isn't it?
Did you guys see this? Is this for real? The league just sent out a drug notice test to Tarheeb Still.
No,
that's somebody just being. They don't do it that fast, right? Don't they make you? It's like the next day that typically happens, right?
Yeah, I think
Never know with the way things are going.
Is that for real?
Can they even draw that up that quickly? It's like in draft somewhere, and they just copy and
They
paste
saw
the
pick
name.
6 and just were like, "Yep, that's him."
Richie's saying, I guess, Still posted the tweet.
Oh, Fajoko's on IR. Thank you, Kim, for the correction. Sorry, take Fajoko out of there. And Still posted the tweet?
I guess.
I hope he's joking, man.
Hold on, I'm going to go. I'm going to look. Let's see. Where's he at?
Look what y'all want to be sticklers for.
I know. No, man. He hasn't tweeted since November.
All right.
It's last month. It's not too bad.
November 20th. But I'm saying, hold on. Did he put it on Instagram maybe? I don't know. The Chargers, Chris Rim just tweeted. Okay, hold on a second. It's not a bit anymore because he's chasing us down a rabbit hole.
Oh, man.
Oh, no, that's Dayon.
Dayon posted.
Manifested the drug. Oh, my God, they did.
Are you serious?
They totally did. Yeah, he put it on Instagram. I think that's what this is. It's on his stories.
Cool.
Wow.
You can't just be good.
Dayon Henley in the presser said, drug test that man about Tarheeb Still. And then
they drug tested him.
And then they drug tested. That's crazy.
What else can we ask for in that case?
Pipkins.
Yeah, drug
Pipkins. Taylor.
Someone how about Jamar Chase
his Gatorade.
Yeah. Before we get off here, because I think we're starting to wrap up here. Shout out to Marcus May for his interception in the end zone. Only being here this week, going out there and getting a turnover. Doing pretty good today too. Not too bad. But shout out to Marcus May. That was a huge interception. Terrible throw by Cousins. I don't know what he was thinking, but
it was an infield fly ball.
He had a running lane too. He probably could have walked that into the end zone.
Yeah, no, but he wanted to pop fly it.
Just threw it up for grabs.
Yeah, and then Craig mentioned it. Shout out to Tony Jefferson, who really felt like he shot out of a cannon to start that game. Going through a block on a screen, made a run stop on the second drive was really good. Troy Dye was really good early on in that game too. Had a deflection as well, but some of the guys who got some extra playing time today showed up pretty big.
Man, that second run stop Jefferson had, he destroyed whoever that lead blocker was.
Ran
completely through him to get to that play. Like nothing you've ever seen Alohi Gilman do, by the way. So Alohi, get healthy, Alohi, but no rush.
Yeah. No rush. All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. That's it for After Hours today. Chargers get to win. They're now 8-4. All thanks to that defense getting stop after stop, 4 touchdowns, getting a sack when they needed it most at the end of the game. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you next time.
Thanks, everybody.
Salute.